The Trail of Tears. As wagons marked their way from New Ochota to where they close, where each tear fell, as some will tell, will be seen a Cherokee rose. President Andrew Jackson supported the settlers' demand for Native American land. He had fought the Creek and Seminole peoples in Georgia and Florida. In his address, he stated that he intended to move all Native Americans to the Great Plains. In 1830, Jackson pushed the Indian Removal Act through Congress. The act allowed the federal government to pay Native Americans to move west. Officials were sent from Jackson to make treaties with Native Americans to the southeast. Natives felt forced to pay for their lands. Finally, in 1834, Congress created the Indian Territory. The Cherokee Nation did refuse to give up their land. The federal government recognized the Cherokee in Georgia as a separate nation. Georgia refused to recognize Cherokee laws. The Cherokees' pressure to leave mounted, so they applied to the United States. We are aware that some persons suppose it will be for our own advantage to remove beyond the Mississippi. Our people universally think otherwise. We wish to remain the land of our fathers. When government did not change its position, so the Cherokee sued the state of Georgia. Jackson agreed on Georgia's efforts to remove the Cherokee. By the 1835s, the Cherokees were divided and felt hopeless. Federal government wanted a number of 500 Cherokees to sign the Treaty of New Ocheta, giving up the people's land. The few who spoke out against approving the treaty were Daniel Webster and Henry Clay. But the treaty was passed by a single vote. Most of the 17,000 Cherokees refused to honor the treaty. Chief John Ross wrote a letter to the United States government that explained that the people who signed the treaty did not represent the Cherokee people. The letter said the United States government should not enforce the treaty. This did change Jackson or the white settlers' mind. It didn't. Martin Van Buren began the removal. General John Wool resigned his command in protest. They delayed the removal, but not for long. His replacement was General Whitfield Scott, arrived at New Ocheta with 7,000 federal troops. They then started to invade the Cherokee Nation. Scott threatened to use force if the Cherokees did not go by the laws. There was no way out, with troops all around the country, so that the resistance and escape was hopeless. Filled with sadness and anger, the Cherokee leaders gave in, and the long march to west began. They knew if they fought, it would lead to their destruction. The aged, nearly ready to drop in the grave, were traveling with heavy burdens attached to their back on the frozen ground, with no covering for their feet. Around 2,000 Cherokees died in camps waiting for the move to begin, and about 2,000 died along the way from starvation and disease and exposure to the weather. The forced journey to the west became known to the Cherokee people as the Trail That Cried. History says that it was the Trail of Tears.